on the East Coast. It's a beautiful day in New York, so I think we are all ready to begin. I want to thank everyone for joining today's webinar on using lead scoring as a means to quantify and qualify lead engagement. So before we begin today, I've created a brief slide deck before we jump into our live demonstration, and I've also have some general housekeeping, which we always go over before our webinars, to take care of first. Let's do our basic general housekeeping here. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to drop them in the GoToWebinar question panel below. There will be a brief Q&A at the end of the webinar where I'll answer as many questions as I can. Any questions I'm not able to get to, I will send in a follow-up email after the webinar has ended. This webinar, along with all of our other webinars, we do have quite a few up on our YouTube channel now. They are all recorded and placed on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/inbox25tube. And last but not least, remember to follow us on Twitter at Inbox25. We post a lot of interesting articles relevant to marketing automation, CRM, and also we get any updates on the business through our Twitter. So it's definitely a really helpful medium to go ahead and follow. So we come to the big question here: what is lead scoring? So before we even jump into the slide deck here, a demand gen study found some food for thought here. A demand gen study found that B2B marketers that nurtured leads produce, on average, a 20% increase in sales opportunities versus non-nurtured leads. So keeping that in mind, let's start discussing what lead scoring actually is. So one of the many reasons companies want to adopt a marketing automation platform is its ability to qualify leads with intricate behavioral tendencies. It's no secret for both marketing and sales that not all leads are created equal. In order to save time and energy, it's important that marketing supplies sales with only the most ready-to-buy and qualified leads. A Marketing Sherpa B2B marketing benchmark survey, quite a mouthful, found 61% of B2B marketers send all leads directly to sales. However, only 20% of those leads will be qualified. So you're looking at 3/4 of leads that are really in limbo. Successful marketing depends on consistent sales and vice versa. So why not maximize efficiency for both? If you're using a CRM, you're halfway there, but lack the tools necessary to bridge the gap between lead qualification and CRM transparency. Here's where marketing automation and lead scoring joins the picture. In order to qualify leads, Inbox25 uses a process called lead scoring. In simple terms, lead scoring is the process of assigning a numerical value to certain rules or behaviors that records can meet within Inbox25. These rules and behaviors or conditions can be something as simple as an email open or landing page conversion, or can pull from Sugar CRM data fields. There's a wealth of options to choose from, allowing any combination of marketing strategy to be applicable. And we'll discuss some of those mediums in our live demonstration. Bringing the decision back to marketers. Lead scoring allows for a focus-based marketing approach. You, as the marketer, are in full control of the engagement and qualification process by focusing on the actions and attributes that best reflect your ideal lead. Essentially, you control the dial, and you can tailor your scoring system around your specific business type and all relevant information. Unlike traditional marketing, digital marketing covers a wide range of mediums, from things like web activity, social activity, email, phone calls, and all the internal data held within your CRM. And in that case, think of something like a data field or a custom data field. All of these mediums have tremendous importance when trying to qualify a lead, but including these mediums into one concise platform brings together the benefit of lead scoring. We're now incorporating all 3 different marketing mediums and utilizing them together. Who are your leads? Really good question. What we're deploying here is something called one-to-one engagement marketing. Lead scoring allows for the tracking of a prospect's behavior. Understanding your lead's tendencies through both implicit and explicit actions is how lead scoring can gauge qualification. As records meet your different rules and conditions, they will be assigned points. The more points they accrue, the larger their lead score will be. Lead scoring allows for a hands-off approach to lead qualification, without the investment of your sales rep's time trying to figure out the quality of this new lead. They can simply focus on the ones that are ready. Essentially, we're maximizing the efficiency of marketing and bridging that gap between sales. Taking a step back and reflecting. Before we jump headfirst into a lead scoring process, it's important we take a step back and reflect on your current marketing strategy. Which mediums are most effective for generating good leads? What are my requirements for a good lead? These are all questions you have to ask yourself prior to implementing a lead scoring strategy. Once a roadmap is started, the process of creating a successful scoring strategy will become much easier. All businesses have different criteria, so remember, there is no one uniform lead scoring standard. Is this numerical score enough? I guess so, possibly. A scoring system is a very powerful tool, when used correctly, of course. But this score is only as valuable as your sales department's understanding of it. Incorporating this score into your sales processes is the solution. Organization is a key component for sales, and the use of a sales pipeline is common. So implementing this score into a sales funnel provides a visual correspondence to the quality of the lead within your already existing sales processes. As I mentioned at the start of digital marketing is an umbrella for many components. In order to show the benefit of lead scoring in the real-world environment, I've created some test scenarios here that we can utilize as a starting point for developing a lead scoring plan. So that does it for a little slide deck here. Let's jump into the actual platform here and discuss some real-world common scenarios. So everyone should be familiar with this screen here. This is going to be your Inbox 25 dashboard, your home screen inside of Inbox 25. And wait for this to load here. So during my slide deck, my last topic of discussion was regarding integrating your scoring system into a pipeline or funnel. Now, in order to fully understand lead scoring, it's actually easiest to start from the end and work our way back or forward. The basis for lead scoring works twofold. Rules and conditions are set up within the platform. Each rule and condition targets a specific user behavior or a characteristic that has a point value associated with it. As your prospects complete these rules and conditions, they start to accrue points. The more points they accrue, the more points the lead gains in terms of their lead score. That being said, let's now jump over into our Lifecycle Manager. And to get to your Lifecycle Manager, we go over to Scoreboard here and go to Lifecycle Manager. Perfect. So your Lifecycle Manager ties directly into your lead scoring strategy. Your Lifecycle Manager is a visual pipeline in order to organize and prioritize your prospects. Similar to your sales funnel, the Lifecycle Manager will categorize your prospects into stages, each denoting varying degrees of interest. Your Lifecycle funnel is completely customizable in the amount of sales stages you can create and the respective names of each stage. So right here I have 6 different stages. I can have 5, I can have 12, whatever my process demands. And if I click on one stage here, you see I can go ahead and change the name. Each sales stage comes equipped with a qualifying score threshold. This score threshold will represent the range of a lead score or a lead score a record must meet in order to qualify for this stage. As a prospect's lead score increases, they will move into different stages inside of your funnel. The more points are gained, the farther down your funnel the prospect will go. The score and the stage denote the amount of rules and conditions the prospect has met. So a higher score and stage shows a higher level of interaction with your business. In this particular example, my first sales stage is set up for 1 to 40. So any lead meeting the criteria of 1 point to 40 points would fall within this sales stage. And once again, completely customizable. It's really depending on your specific strategy. When a lead gets 41 points, they'll leave this stage here, called phase 1, and move on to identified leads, and so on and so forth. Your sales velocity on the right side of the screen will display the productivity and efficiency of your current funnel configuration. If you notice prospects are getting pushed through the funnel too quickly and not qualified enough, or not being pushed fast enough and taking too long, you can either revise your scorecard setup or adjust your stages here. 17 days, 1 minute. So in a real-world example, my demo environment here would not be a very productive lifecycle stage cycle. So even phase 1 to identify leads, 17 days, but phase 1 to identify qualified leads is 1 minute. So of course, we want to go ahead and revise that. And at the bottom, we give you the total number of days a normal cycle lasts. Only internal discussions between sales and marketing will really be able to formulate a powerful and robust scoring strategy, but there are some marketing mediums which are usually universal for shaping ideal leads. Website traffic and activity is a medium almost all 21st century businesses utilize in one respect or another. Mostly everyone that markets today has some sort of website. And your website should really be a prime identity of your business. And as such, promoting web traffic through things like SEO, PPC, Google AdWords are really a commonplace nowadays. So gathering traffic to your website is only half the battle. Now, what good are these analytics if they're not being implemented into a marketing strategy, or even using them in a marketing strategy? Website activity is a key indicator of an interested lead, and Inbox 25 allows for drill-down analytics to not only track who's on your website, but what pages they visited and how long they've been there. A prospect idling on your homepage should not be treated the same as a prospect spending 15 minutes browsing all your products and pricing. As such, a lead scoring system success is in the details. The more intricate and fine-tuned your strategy is, allows for a wider range of variables that encompass your marketing strategy. Once again, it's in the details. Determining, which functions weigh higher than others is going to be a key determination to having a successful lead scoring system. So let's stick with this example of website activity. It's a pretty common one, and we can start building out a scorecard from scratch. So to begin our scorecard creation, let's head over to our Scorecard Manager here. Go to Scoreboard and go to Scorecard Manager. So your Scorecard Manager will represent your home screen for all lead scoring activity. Scorecards are not your individual rules or conditions, but rather they represent an umbrella where you can organize specific rules into relevant sections. So before we start discussing lead scoring analytics, because there's a little bit on the screen here, let's jump into creating our first scorecard, and we can move back to some of these analytics. It's always helpful to start from the front here. So we'll go to Add Scorecard. And you'll notice the builder looks similar to your automated campaign builder. So because scorecards represent an umbrella from which rules are created, the way you want to organize your lead scoring scorecards is really up to you. You can separate your scorecards into various types of activity, separating things like web activity, email activity, webinar registrations into different scorecards, or you can just group everything together into one large scorecard. The ball is really in your court in that regard. For our demo scorecard today, I'm going to group together rules into one scorecard. So let's go ahead now and name this scorecard something like, we'll do New Prospect Scoring System. New Prospect Scoring System here. Perfect. So now that we have it named, let's go ahead and click Save Scorecard. So our initial discussion was in regards to the importance and usefulness of website traffic. Please note that in order to score via website activity, you will need to, of course, have Site Monitor installed on your website. This is Inbox 25's site visitor tracking tool. This will then allow visitor tracking on your web pages to start. Another important note as well for website traffic is that your website visitors will have to be known inside of the system, either from a form conversion from your website, so a landing page or form embedded on your website that someone fills out, or a link click-through in an email campaign. So now we're targeting those in your already existing database. Both of these actions will initiate a tracking cookie on the user's browser. So we can't pull from unknown visitors, we can only pull from known visitors. So let's go ahead now and create our first rule with this scorecard. So we click Add New Rule here. And here we see a list of all the activity we can score off of. So for those familiar with our automated campaign wizard, you'll notice and recognize a lot of this activity as being identical to automated campaign conditions. A lot of the data we pull from or can utilize will be very similar to your campaign condition screen. So let's select web activity here. And we can go ahead and name something like, we will do visited pricing page. And click Save this rule. So in my previous example, we came to the conclusion that we're not going to treat all web activity equally. That's the magic of lead scoring, is that we can drill down specific activities within any of our rules. So not all web activity will carry the same weight, so it's important to determine which activities demand a larger score. If a prospect is on my pricing page, once again, that will denote in my mind valuable interest. If a prospect has visited my home page for 1 minute and then left, not too much. So let's create that example here, or the first example. So under web activity, we give you specific types here. We click Add Condition. And we give you specific types of actions that one can complete on your website. So first step, let's select our domain. Once again, you can track as many domains as you'd like, as long as you have access to the back end. We'll do Inbox 25 demo app here. And we give you some more specific actions here. You can choose from total visit duration, specific pages viewed, unique pages viewed, total number of visits, referred from, and last activity. Now, because we're targeting a specific web page, let's go ahead now and choose specific page viewed. And then from here, I'd put in my pricing page. Let's do that real quick. I'll just use Inbox 25's pricing page as an example. Makes it easy for us because it's a pretty simple URL here. /pricing. Perfect. Let's now determine a score for this rule. Very, very important here. Giving a rule a blanket score is the wrong strategy to take. You should have fully fleshed out your scoring system ahead of time and determined a rule hierarchy, if you will. Assuming I have mapped out my lead scoring strategy and have come to the conclusion that 7 points is appropriate in the context of my broader marketing strategy, let's go ahead and add 7 points here. So I've thought about it, I've mapped out a strategy, and for this particular rule, 7 points make sense in the context of both my sales funnel and my scoring strategy. Determining your max point value will depend on the type of rule your strategy has. We allow for rules to be scored more than once. So if I put a max score of 7, I am telling the system that this rule can only be applied once per prospect. But if I double this score here to 14, I'm now telling the system to allow my prospect to be touched by this rule twice. And then you would just keep doubling the amount. Static conditions like data fields are usually not scored twice. If someone has a data field, it usually stays the same, and if it doesn't, you have another rule set up for that. But more retroactive rules like site activity and email analytics are best scored multiple times. You do not want to miss out on any detail when qualifying your prospects. So we can click Save Rule here. Now, we can make this rule even more intricate by adding a second condition for this rule to be completed. If I select Add Condition here, I can have 2 criteria to be met instead of 1. We see we have our AND condition here. So now that we have a condition for a visit to a pricing page, let's add a condition for unique pages viewed. I'll want my prospect to have browsed around my website, visiting various pages as well. So once again, very simple process here. We'll click our domain, and this time we're going to do unique pages viewed. So this can be a home page, maybe a product page, a contact us page, and a pricing page. And that totals 4. So is greater than 4 pages, we can do is less than 4 pages. And we can click Save this rule here. Perfect. So we did briefly touch on email analytics just a second ago, discussing some retroactive rules. So, let's go ahead now and discuss a bit about the most common marketing medium today, which is, of course, still email. Email is still the king of the hill for 21st century digital marketing, and when leveraged correctly, is a powerful tool in your lead scoring arsenal. But the key for a successful email scoring system is delivering fresh, interesting content, and most importantly of all, delivering that content on a consistent basis. And this isn't just with email, but a successful marketing automation platform and strategy depends on consistency. Marketing is not stagnant, so neither should your marketing automation platform. Automated nurturing campaigns and drip workflows are tremendous tools for warming up prospects, putting them inside of some kind of drip nurturing campaign. Now, I'm not going to discuss our drip tool content stream today, but we do have a whole webinar dedicated to content stream set to be held in, I believe, 2 weeks. I highly recommend you sign up for that webinar if you have not already. It'll take you through some best practices with designing nurturing streams, and also take you through our actual nurturing stream builder, which is called Content Stream. And there's a lot of neat things you can do with that. So I highly recommend you attend that webinar. So back to email analytics here. Email activity is the simplest way for prospects to show interest, whether it be an email open or a click-through. A lot can be determined from viewing a record's email activity. So once again, let's start by creating a new rule for our scorecard. Really simple. Go to Add New Rule here. And because we're targeting email activity, let's go ahead now and select Campaigns from our dropdown. So the most basic type of positive email activity would be an open. So we're going to create this rule based off of any email open on any email campaign I've sent through inbox 25. So we'll call this here open, oh, not pen, we'll do open email campaigns. Perfect. So to reiterate, this metric will only be valuable with consistent email sending. So I'm not talking about spamming out to your prospects. We don't want you to do that. But be consistent with delivering fresh content to allow the system to account for more variables. It's tough if you send one email a month to really track a lead scoring system, because in that case, your life cycle or score cycle will be a very long time if we're scoring one email a month. So be consistent with it and always deliver some relevant, fresh content. If you have a prospect drip with 10 emails in as example, which is pretty common nowadays, your prospect opens 7 of those 10 emails, that's a statistic you're going to want to take advantage of. Assuming we have consistent email sending, this rule can be met fairly frequently. So we're going to go ahead here and click Save this rule. Our screen refreshes here. We can click Add Condition. And we can either choose any email campaign or a specific one, or we can choose any automated campaign or a specific one. We're going to do any email campaign. So email campaigns denote campaigns sent from through the basic email campaign wizard, and your automated campaigns would be email sent through automation. They give you a few different variables here for opened. Did not open, clicked any, click specific link. The list can go on, but these are all very powerful metrics when leveraged. So we'll do open here, keep it very simple. So in this case, we're going to add a score of 3, because this is a rule that can be met fairly frequently. So we do 3. And because I want this rule to be retroactive and I want it to be met multiple times, and of course, if email sending is a large medium for marketing for your business, you're going to want to go ahead and let's make this something like 100. So this rule can be met multiple times by at different periods of time. And we can click Save this rule. Now, if we have very specific emails, possibly a promotional email, a big summer promotional email giving a large discount, that can show a higher sign of interest outside of our basic email stream. And we can target that email specifically with a new rule on its own, with its own score. So say for an example, if a recipient opens or clicks through your promotional email, you want to give them a score of 4 or 5, something higher than your basic email open score. Lead scoring is all about determining priorities and what behaviors and characteristics make a good lead. Very, very important. So be creative, be intuitive, and figure out, which email activity is weighted more than others. Of course, the click-through to a specific link should be weighted more than just a basic email open. So definitely account for all variables when creating a lead scoring system. So because there's so many variables and activities Inbox 25 allows to score with, I can't show them all today. The webinar would go on a fairly long time. But I'd like to discuss one more, which would complete the trinity of lead scoring, if you will. And that's going to be form activity. Form conversions are a key indicator for an interested prospect. They've taken the time to fill out your form, whether it's a Contact Us form, which demands immediate personal contact, or something more subtle like a white paper download or an ebook. The prospect has given you their information, and it's essential we leverage that activity within our lead scoring strategy. So for those that are familiar with our landing page and forms, the above examples I just provided would probably be best suited for an Inbox 25 form to be embedded on your website. A prospect comes to your website, they see a Contact Us form, and they fill it out. This record is now created inside of your database. Using Inbox 25, there are of course a wealth of possibilities within automation the prospect can be put through. Will you set it up so they go through a drip workflow and get a drip stream of 10 emails? Or will you assign this record directly to sales? But moving back down to lead scoring now for form conversions. Inbound lead engagement is a powerful tool as the prospect is initiating the discussion. Inbox 25 allows for the unlimited creation of landing pages and forms that can either be used standalone as a URL or embedded on your website. Each form type will be determined depending on the type of content held within each form. Once again, a Contact Us form, if it's for new lead activity, you're going to want to have it on your website. Something like a survey or an ebook download, maybe you have it embedded in an email. Landing pages, like surveys, are a great medium to be sent to your record database for valuable feedback and extra information gathering. So you can create surveys with our landing page builder. So creating landing page rules are very similar to our last two examples. Let's select New Rule here and choose our landing page. New Rule, Condition dropdown, and we'll select Landing Pages. Now, depending on the amount of forms and the type of forms you have, you may want to create separate rules for each form, or you can group together all forms. A webinar registration form may not be weighted the same as a Contact Us form, as an example. It's all about initiative with your forms and the types of incentives you're offering your prospects to fill it out. So I'm going to make a separate rule for my landing pages here, as I want my landing pages to be content specific. So we'll call this an example. We can do something like maybe filled out Contact Us form on website. We can go ahead and click Save Rule. And we can go ahead and determine our specific landing page. Out of all my forms, I'll go ahead and consider my Contact Us form the most powerful conversion metric, as the prospect is asking itself for more information. So I'm going to score this rule higher than I would for something like, once again, a webinar registration. So we'll click Add Condition here, and we can do a Contact Us form. Now, these are all the forms in the system here. You can choose specific ones, or once again, you can choose any form. We'll do Contact Us. And we give you some more, metrics here: successful conversion, abandoned, and no conversion. Excuse me. So we'll do successful conversion. And I'm going to weight this as a 9. And because form conversions usually happen one time, at least for a specific landing page, we're going to make this a score of 9 as well, to allow that this can only be scored one time for a specific user. So with just 3 types of marketing activity, that be web, email, and forms, you can branch out into multiple rules, each detailing out specific actions in those fields. Which types of form conversions? Have there been email opens or clicks? And which type of web activity, whether it be a specific page viewed, a number of unique visits, even with 3 basic rule types, we can branch out and have a marketing strategy that can design a comprehensive lead scoring system for any sort of variable we want. So be creative and make the most out of the data you have. If you utilize data fields, especially custom data fields, scoring on data fields is a great criteria to target your already existing database. Does someone hold the title of VP of Sales or CFO? These are all metrics you're going going to want to leverage as powerful prospects and DMs or the decision maker. Exploring the types of activity Inbox 25 allows you to leverage is a great starting point when devising a lead scoring strategy. Reflect on your current marketing strategy first and determine what makes a good lead good. The sales you've made, why have they been made? What happened with that lead? What behavior tendencies did they display? Which mediums did they respond to best? And then start to develop your scoring system around those successful mediums. Once your scoring system is in place, and keep in mind that a scoring system is always evolving with new content, right? So as new content is pushed out, you're going to have to reflect that in your scoring. But once your basis for your scoring system is put in place, you can start devising automated workflows targeting specific lifecycle stages or lead scores. Lifecycle stages make an excellent criteria for initiating drip campaigns, since your stages should, in an ideal world, represent prospect interest levels. So you can have separate streams dedicated to separate sales stages that demand relevant content each. So the last item I'd like to discuss today is going to be sync score. So your Inbox 25 timeline report will display a records lead score in the system, but we can also add this score directly into their Sugar CRM record profile to allow anyone inside of Sugar, whether they have the Inbox 25 module installed or not, to view it. This is, of course, only good as long as your sales team understands the scoring system enough to recognize when the score shows a valuable prospect. And if that's the case, the automated workflow should have pushed those scores or should have pushed those leads to sales anyway. But it's just something to keep in mind. So let's head over to an Inbox 25 timeline report now, just to show you what the score report looks like inside of a records profile for Inbox. And I'll just type in my profile here. And quite a few profiles for me, but there's one in specific I'm looking for here. Here we go. And we can see at the top here, we have my total score of 83. So that's my total lead score. And we also see right next to it your life cycle stage. So we can also see what stage I'm currently in, which in this case is going to be opportunities. So now to activate Sync Score, let's head over to our SimSync dashboard. To get there, it's on the little right icon here. Click SimSync dashboard. And here we go. So your Sync Score is going to be a module you can turn on inside of Inbox 25. We see Sync Score here. And it literally gives you a description. It says Sync Target Lead Score to Sugar CRM as a custom field. So once this is activated, we will embed as a custom field inside of their Sugar profile their Inbox 25 lead score. So let's head over to a contact now. It could be a contact, lead, account, prospect. Doesn't really matter here. Let's head over to contacts. And once again, I am activating Inbox 25 right through Sugar. So it makes it very, very simple for us here. And wait for this screen to load here. Here we go. And let's go ahead and choose someone. We can choose the first one. Okay, John Lennon. We'll choose John Lennon here. Open up his record profile. And we can see here as a custom data field, we have his Inbox 25 lead score displayed at 15. Now, for those that do have the Inbox 25 module fully configured, you also have access to the Inbox 25 timeline report inside of Sugar. So you can see here his score is 15 as well inside of Inbox. But for those that do not have the module configured fully, the Inbox 25 lead score is a valuable tool to just view the lead score of that particular record. So that does bring us to the end of the webinar. I hope everyone has enjoyed it. In terms of strategy and implementing a lead scoring system with Inbox 25. So I'm now going to answer any questions that were asked during the webinar. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the question bar below. And I'll just give it a minute or two for anyone to write questions down. And then if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and answer those. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so that seems to be it for the questions. If you think of any further questions later on, please feel free to email me at james.verdi@inbox25.com. I'm very responsive, so I'll answer you as soon as possible. Once again, all of our webinars are recorded and placed on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/inbox25tube. They also do go on our knowledge base as well. And on that note, that sums up today's webinar. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day. It's beautiful and sunny here in New York. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and speak with you soon. Bye.